Hello out there, my name is Christina. Welcome back to this channel. This is the place where we gush about the films that we love and try understanding the ones that we don't. On today's agenda is the 1994 historical mystery drama film entitled Quiz Show. It was directed by Robert Redford and written by Paul Attanasio. A dramatization of the 21 quiz show scandal from the 1950s, it chronicles the rise and fall of popular contestant Charles Van Doren after his fixed win against Herb Stempel and an investigation that was carried out by U.S. Congressional lawyer Richard Goodwin. Okay, first of all, wrong show. Secondly, rude, but let's get this show on the road, shall we? Game shows aren't much younger than the invention of television. What started in the 1930s as a low bid for entertainment set a precedent for financial gain that at the time hadn't been perfected yet, though 21 was a very promising forerunner of higher stake variations. If Quiz Show is a mini testament to how much fame could follow when people would appear on this program, it suffers invariably from a lack of exposition. Debuting on September 12, 1956, its first episode was met with poor reception for what is, in hindsight, obvious reasons. Its two contestants answered most of the questions asked of them incorrectly, culminating in what its producers determined to be a dismal failure. Cue our parties at play, if you will. Stempel was identified as a satisfactory participant shortly after, but not because of his intellectual ability. Gifted with a retentive memory, he got one of the highest scores ever achieved on the audition test for 21, which was 251 out of 363 questions asked correct, which led many to be bemused and fascinated by the wealth of useless knowledge that was always at his fingertips. His reputation was one further intensified by his appearance, with showrunners being careful not to sell him as anything other than the underdog. After only a few weeks as reigning champ, viewers put in their vote for a new victor, as evidenced by ratings that were going south, leading to the idea of selling Charles Van Doren as a champion for education starting on November 28, 1956, and crowning him victorious weeks later.
It's possible. Questions that'll take no longer than 15 minutes. You'll receive the questions in advance. I'm to thank you for the courtesy of attending this hearing.
Mercy. What a grueling line of inquiry.
Must have a familiar ring, the questions in advance.
Would you excuse us for a moment, please? Take this, please. Thank you. Young man.
The ratings went up if the same contestant came back week after week. There was only one way for that to happen. You had to know that.
Young man, I sell over $14 million a year worth of Geritol. Geritol. That's the kind of businessman I am. That show 21 cost me $3.5 million year in, year out. Sales went up 50% when Van Doren was on. 50%. So the very idea that I was unaware of every detail or aspect of that show's operation, frankly, it's very insulting.
So you knew.
That's even more insulting.
You had to know. That's what you
This
just
is
said.
not about what I know. It's about what you know.
You don't know what I know.
You know that Dan Enright ran a crooked quiz show.
Well, he never informed you.
Did he?
Admittedly, in light of the litigation hokey pokey perusing about, Quiz Show has quite the mountain to climb in being made universally digestible. Subsequently, some of the creative license utilized by Redford and Attanasio is entirely reasonable, like squeezing 3 years' worth of material into the span of barely one. What isn't so comparable are decisions made as to who should be flagpoled as heroes, vigilantes, and besmirched saints. In spite of what Quiz Show would have anyone to believe, Goodwin's role in investigating the 21 scandal is inflated for dramatic effect, as this inquiry was led by Assistant District Attorney Joseph Stone. For the sake of simplicity, I can go ahead and forgive this misstep as a matter of ego, given the fact that Goodwin personally helped produce Quiz Show and it was inspired by excerpts in a book he published in 1988 called Remembering America, A Voice from the 60s. Van Doren, however, at no point made an attempt to step down from the spotlight, nor did his time on 21 end on the back of his own grievances or guilt. It was, as to be expected, a result of NBC further manipulating its programs for profit, further undermining the amount of prominence Van Doren had as a household name when he was turning out ratings that were deemed desirable. Consequently, neither Van Doren or his father were at significant odds with one another, though Fiennes and Schofield are endearing as a substitute for intellectualized discord and patronization. The former's academic career was far from destroyed after his complicitness was discovered. Though he resigned from teaching English at Columbia University in 1959, he became a vice president for Encyclopedia Britannica in 1965 and taught English at the University of Connecticut until his retirement in 1982. Something About Quiz Show might feel like a bunch of adults dodging accountability. Many of the producers involved were able to find work afterwards, even if eventually. Perhaps because most of what transpires wasn't even technically illegal. In fact, it wasn't until September 3rd, 1960, that President Eisenhower signed a bill making it against the law to make a game show with the intent of deceiving its audience. Nonetheless, Quiz Show doesn't really seem to know how to address what happened after the fact, particularly in light of the success that all those involved were able to find afterwards, notwithstanding any personal agendas or relative implications. Is Quiz Show better for its silence in that regard? No pressure. I don't know the answer to that one either. An expose of greed and amusement that become indebted to one another, there might not even be much here worth having substantial grief over. In fact, it might even be the price we pay in making some of the information delivered more user-friendly, all with the insights that can be spared about the formulation of parasocial relationships via a medium during a time when such inclinations were not always commonplace. To be perfectly clear, finding fault with 21 in a principled fashion might be difficult, given the ubiquitous nature of scandals as they take form today, all in the name of fame, fortune, and whatever else might apply. It seems to come with playing the game, no matter what the rules might be, and not all players are created equal. If you are still watching, thank you so much for your time. As usual, questions, comments, and concerns are encouraged and welcome below, in addition to suggestions as to what movies I should be watching and analyzing next. My name's Christina. Happy film hunting. I'll see you next time. Bye.